it's going to seem like it's telling me that we're doing it here. I took away my green screen. So if you're watching me, it's not super interesting anymore. I had a great green screen image, but I thought maybe Facebook wasn't so into it. There we are. All right. So if you're watching me here, thank you. I am going to do something I don't usually do, and I'm going to call Andrew in real time and invite him to hop on with us. All right, so let me get back over here. This is so embarrassing, but it's okay. Okay. And then I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go over here. Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
So I think I've got it to work.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Are you in a spot? Can I just put one thing down and get right with you?
Yes, because I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a link to the Zoom.
Awesome, and I'll log right on. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Oh goodness gracious. All right. So I'm going to send Andrew the link to our Zoom. This is really quite the morning, y'all. I appreciate everyone sticking with me through this because I'm pumped about the conversation today. So I'm glad that we're figuring it out. It appears that we're getting there. So let me send this to Andrew so that he can hop on, because today we're talking with Andrew Potter from North Amherst Motors and Car Rental. That and more that you might not know that they do. So if I hop back over to where I can see myself, I think I'm live right now. So I'm just going to talk like I am. And then I'm going to pop over and see if I am. Videos. I saw it a moment ago. Yep, I am. All right. Like I am. There we are. Very cool. So if you're watching, thanks for sticking with us. Sorry we're starting so late. We had some technical difficulties. Apparently, we just had to mess with it a little bit, but that's great. So I really appreciate everyone who's still watching. We're getting started late, so we'll probably go a little late today. If you have questions for North Amherst Motors, have them ready. I'm excited to talk to Andrew today. Andrew and his wife Jocelyn own North Amherst Motors and Car Rental in North Amherst. And I had an experience recently, very early in COVID, with my own car, and was not aware that North Amherst Motors rented cars. And I was in this whole tizzy because I live in Greenfield and my car was at Meineke there, and I was trying to get to work in North Amherst. And Cinda Jones, my boss, said to me, you know, North Amherst Motors rents cars, right? Which was so awesome to learn. And the whole experience of the touchless handoff, the car was so super clean. And they saved my butt. They made it so easy to get to and from work. I work locally in North Amherst. And for those who live in North Amherst who might not know, they're awesome. So I highly recommend them, and we're going to learn even more about them. Yes. All right. So still connecting to audio, which is fine. We're going to hop over here.
All right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's happening. You are so patient, sir.
What did you find?
This is great. So we're live.
Fantastic.
You know, we're throwing you right in. And sorry I started late. I know you have a crazy day.
No, we're good. Thank you for your. I'm thrilled to get this going. This is a new frontier. So this is exciting.
Yes, and this is the first time I've had any kind of technical difficulty, and you are definitely the best guest to have it with, because you've been so patient.
So let's clarify that for the moment, for the record. Okay, did I screw it up somehow?
No,
Okay, me and
no.
technology, we were just not the best of things. I just upgraded this laptop from my original laptop I had that had Windows 95 on it when I went away to 5 years ago. I'm kidding, but this is good. So we're gonna make
Yeah,
this work. And yeah, I'm not the one that's known for technology around
no,
our business or our home for that matter. I rely on my wife and an 11-year-old
yep.
or an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, 13-year-old, whatever it might be, but
It's
just not me. So
amazing, isn't it? I kind
yeah.
of feel like children are now born with an awareness of technology that's just like ingrained. I've seen some 4-year-olds do some things that I'm like, how did you get there? And they very patiently explain it to me.
And it's been so impressive to see in the last 6 months what they've been able to accomplish with kids being remote and stuff like that. It's
Right.
unbelievable.
Because
So
your kids are doing the remote
hopefully that's one of
school.
many silver linings that come out of COVID, right?
Yes.
Is the technology that they do, and also that I get to embrace it as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. We're on. It looks like it's working, which is great. And I'm excited. I was just telling the audience while I was getting set up about my own car rental experience and not knowing that y'all rent cars, period. So maybe just take us through a little bit of the big picture of what you offer at North Amherst Motors, because it was so far beyond what I thought, and I'm sure beyond what a lot of people in the community think.
sure. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. So, we're right here in the Mill District, North Amherst Motors and North Amherst Auto Rental. We're a full automotive center
Right.
where we do collision repair, mechanical repair, so preventative maintenance and other troubleshooting, car and truck rental, which you recently learned
Yes.
that we have
Thank
a full
you.
fleet of cars and trucks, vans. And then some added services such as like car detailing. And probably the most important thing that we do is often just give folks advice on what to do in a lot of different situations. A friend of mine last week, one of his company cars got totaled out, and trying to get advice on kind of how do you negotiate the total loss settlement. And also the kind of what are his options? Does he replace the car right now? Does he need to replace it? And what to do with that sort of thing. So I think that's a big thing that we do. A big part of I've always looked at is that part of what we do is we're helping people solve their transportation problems and look at what's the opportunity in that. So
Yes. That's so awesome. I mean, that kind of advice is just invaluable. I mean, especially on a business front, I feel like, because there are so many things that you navigate that might be totally new. So it's, in addition to being there, you're everyone's dad also when it comes to cars.
well, thankfully, I mean, our primary business of collision repair, people are only in the accident once every 7 or 8 years.
Right.
So these are many different ways that we get to be involved in the community, automotive related, and a lot of other things too, of course, as far as activities that we do, that we get to continue to be involved, so to speak. So.
So you do personal vehicles, commercial vehicles, anything.
Yeah, lightweight. We don't get into the
Okay.
medium to heavy duty trucks and things like that. But
Got it.
and there are certain things we find more than ever that you do have to defer to a specialist for certain mechanical repairs, like a large transmission work or something that may be dealer only for many different reasons. So
Got it. Oh, that's so interesting. And your family-owned business, yourself and your wife, Jocelyn, was this
yep.
business handed down to you, or this is first generation family business?
We're second generation in the
Second
business.
generation.
My goes back to I think 1969. My father started his first service station across town on Triangle Street in Amherst.
Oh, whoa.
And it's now a dentist office. And then he evolved other service stations across town and moved up to North Amherst here in 1975 and started North Amherst Motors. And then in the late 70s, got out of the towing business and got into also the car and truck rental business, simply for the need to service customers whose cars were repairing. I think he started with 3 Chevy Vegas, which then became Chevy Chevettes, Chevy Citations, and Mercury's, Ford Fairmonts and Mercury Zephyrs. And thankfully now they're all late model cars. So that was, my father and my mother started the business. I grew up in and around the business. And in 2010, we bought my parents out of the business and sent them into retirement. We always joke that my father had a couple of retirement internships before 2010 that honestly he didn't pass those internships. 2010 he was finally he retired. My mom retired from her teaching position a couple of years later at Holyoke Community College, where she was a professor of business and marketing. So Jocelyn and I run the day-to-day operations of both of the businesses. For the record, she'll make sure that she declares that she is the boss, she is the supervisor, she is the president.
Yeah.
But most importantly, we're surrounded by a great team of people here. We have long-term employees, and even the folks who joined us as soon as this year. You get to know us, but a great work team around us. It's a great family atmosphere. So.
That's so awesome. And I know you mentioned that Jocelyn was kind of the one in charge. I mean, we're big on female leadership in the Mill District, that's for sure. And you also mentioned, and I know we're going to take a little tour around in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you did mention how much of your team is female, and not just the team in the office, the whole team. And I definitely felt that because, you know, I will give props to local businesses. I'm not saying that there aren't awesome men in the auto repair world, but walking in and seeing how many women were on your team, I felt really welcome. And I felt like I could just feel a little more at ease about my lack of knowledge. And I know that's just sort of a personal woman thing and whatever, but it's great how much female leadership and participation you guys have in your business.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You know, from the top of our business to an entry level position, you know, we have a great mixed group of our work team. You know, you think about the workplace. If 50% of the women in the workplace are women, rather, you know, then the same is true here at North Amherst Motors.
Yeah.
And we have a great, strong program through the technical high schools. So much so that. In fact, when we get to go walk through the shop in a moment, we're going to use this as a test to see how this goes. Later this semester, we're going to do some virtual tours with Franklin County Technical High School. Normally we do that, do their exploratory classes, have them come through and do a tour. Because of COVID this year, we're going to be limited to what we can do that.
Right.
But one of the reasons we do that is because in the collision repair program up there, 50% of the students are women, and we want to make sure that they see career tracks.
Yes.
In automotive and specifically the collision repair industries. And in our shop, you get to meet our detail team, disassembly, reassembly teams, our paint prep, different aspects that have different people in different roles. And it's been that way for a long time at North Amherst Motors here. And it's just something that just it's part of our culture, how we are. So.
Yeah, that's so, it's so fantastic. And I want to take a minute and encourage, I see some folks watching. If you're watching, please feel free to send some questions Andrew's way. I don't have to be the only question asker. If you're not sure how to do that, when you're watching the live video on the right-hand side where it says comments, just put your question right in there and I will get it over to Andrew and we will get it answered because it's fun when this is an interactive conversation. And I think I want to stop on that point for a minute about education, because obviously, right, it wouldn't be Amherst without some education going on. When did you start working with Franklin County Tech, and is that the only school that you do a program through at the moment?
That's a great question. So the Franklin County Tech program we started probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I sit on the advisory board. In fact, I think I'm now the chair of their advisory board. That just kind of happened. But we also, with the other local technical high schools, Smith Voc in Northampton and Pathfinder down in Palmer, we've worked with Pathfinder in the past as well. In fact, a couple of our work team are graduates of Pathfinder, and one in particular, I think of Kate. She did co-op with us. I won't admit how long ago it was, but a long time ago. And she joined our team coming out of co-op, and she's been with us ever since. So those are the 3 high schools that kind of in our general area. But today, mostly Franklin County Tech and Smith Voc, just being that there's right up the road in Hampshire and Franklin County are the 2 high schools that we tend to focus with. And that we work well with they have great instructional teams at both the schools. So
That's and I assume all three schools are career focused. So you're working with students who are looking to go right onto a career path or are still considering college. Does it vary in your
It
kind
does
of,
vary. It's so
yeah,
interesting. You have a combination of both more and more. And one of the challenges that all the technical high schools face right now is how do you make hands-on education work right now during COVID, right?
yes.
So we weren't sure if we would be able to do like a co-op program this year. We always have in the past.
Mhm.
But we were able to have a co-op student who just joined us last week from Franklin County Tech. And she had a great first week in our disassembly area. She'll be back next week, and probably next week will be paint prep, a rotation through paint prep. So that's a fantastic way to do that. But it's always interesting to me when the exploratory classes, these first year freshman students come in, they're making a decision as a freshman of what they're going to do, not just through high school, but potentially for their full career. Whereas if so many of us aren't sure graduate high school or college or a master's, whatever it might be, even then what we're going to do and have career changes and things like that. It's interesting to me that as a first year freshman student, that these kids are making a decision of, am I going to go the route of become a carpenter or a plumber or a culinary, whatever it might be.
Right.
It's pretty cool. And trying to help them find a better way when you can't do as much hands-on right now as you could. There's only so much you can learn virtually about doing collision repair or doing or doing plumbing or something like that.
Right.
So
Right. Absolutely. And are there other ways? I mean, I'm sure there are other ways. Let me word this in a helpful way. What are the other ways that COVID has kind of impacted your own business? I know for me, when I rented a car from you, I was very impressed, not only at the level of cleanliness, but the handoff was so touch free. It was really easy. Most of it was done outside. It just really, how do you sort of convert your business practices to meet the times?
it's been a great challenge and some great opportunities. I think of March 13th, it was like it was D-Day. Just being in a college town when announcements came out that schools were going remote for the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or form, like many businesses, we rely on the colleges and universities, either directly or indirectly. So we got to step back immediately and see, okay, what is this going to mean for the scope of what we do and how we do it?
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. But at the same time, it was important for us to be transparent with our team and what was going on. And we were quick to respond. We took steps immediately in regards to how do we make the customer experience more touchless, and also how do we protect our work team as well. And the things, for example, a car comes in for repair, the first thing we do is we apply disinfectant to the interior, put a car seat cover on it, steering wheel cover the shifter, get all what we call the touch points. We then do that when the car leaves our facility again one more time. The same thing with all the cars and trucks we rent as well. So those were some examples. In fact, the car and truck rental you probably experienced. A customer comes in to sign some paperwork. We give them a fresh pen with our name on it, right?
I've been using mine.
You got yours still, right?
Yeah.
I have to thank Yusuf Fidel for those. In fact, the number of compliments we get on how nice of pens they are for promotional pens.
They're actually really nice pens. I get a lot of promotional pens in my line of work, and this one I use.
So those are the things that we had. Sure, we had boxes of pens before this happened, but how are we going to put them to work for us? And another thing that we had is we have a really cool texting platform where you just our main phone number. You can text us.
Yes.
They say 37 to 40% of customers who need our services for collision repair, the accident doesn't happen during normal business hours. So this is a way for them to contact us, and we get back to them timely over the weekend or in the evenings, especially when we had to reduce our hours. And we couldn't be open as long of hours as we were in the evening or on Saturdays. It's a way for us to continue to talk to customers, communicate with them, make sure that if they have any questions or concerns, we can address those things. They can send us photos, of course, of damage or whatever other claim information from an insurance company, whatever it might be. So those were some of the things that we had in place, but we were able to kind of capitalize and really put to better work for us. Even payment, texting through a secure link. for payment purposes. It's been a good thing to be able to do that. So those are the things that have been really helpful. And most importantly, just listening to the customer and understanding kind of what's their comfort level, right? Because some people have been out there since day one, since in March or whenever this allegedly started back from last year. You talk to a lot of people. Some people don't get out that much still. So just being respectful of what it is in dealing with there. So.
It's so awesome. I'm gonna kind of drive that point home a little bit, because not only, the ease of texting during COVID, which it sounds like it has really been a great thing to have in place, but I know for myself, I will admit I'm like just on the edge of the millennial generation, and texting has just become not only par for the course in communication, but for me, so much easier with the pace that my life moves. And I remember going through the process of buying my home and working with a mortgage lender who was closer to my age. And she was like, text me any questions anytime. And right there, it sort of signaled to me that this was something that would fit into when I'm running around. It's so much easier to send a text message. So you guys are really accessible, which just is awesome.
And that's a great point, because it's not just for customers, it's been really beneficial for our staff too, to be able to communicate with one another, but also to, because with that platform, we can kind of look at the thread and continue along with whatever we might need to do. And if you have to ask a customer a question, you can text them, they can get back to you. You're not playing phone tag, right? I mean, we don't, as opposed to leaving a voicemail that may not even ever get checked, right?
I'm so guilty of that.
We've got to the point where maybe it makes sense to not even leave that voicemail, right?
Yeah,
it makes sense. So
that's so awesome. I feel like it's a point that's sort of coming up to the surface that I think is such a good one. Is that there were a lot of tools that some businesses already had in place that are just getting leveraged in different ways. Are there things you felt like you didn't have in place that you sort of had to immediately respond and figure out how to kind of rise to this unprecedented occasion? Or do you feel like you were in a good position to be responsive as a business owner? I know that's a tough question. You don't have to share it all with us.
No, it is a good question. I think that we were in a great position to be responsive. And like I said, I think that on day one we were. At the same time, there is a new challenge or new opportunity that still faces us every week, it seems like, where a new scenario that comes up, and it's just being able to face that head on, huddle as a team and figure them out. Whether it's how do you get a certain type of repair addressed, get information out, or a new challenge that you face with something that may be going on. So. We're up for it. At the same time, each week there's something new. A good example becomes our work team. When someone has, and as we go into the cold and flu season, when someone has symptoms or their family member does, I was talking to a technician the other day about the fact that it used to be, if you have both members of a family or a single parent family work, when a kid is sick or has cold-like symptoms, you decide who's going to stay home with the kid.
Right.
Now the question is going to become, should both parents stay home, or if it's or if it's only so it's going to really change things. And how do you prepare and be staffed for that sort of thing as we go into that time of year? Where that could be a real issue. So it's going to be very interesting. So.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds like your staff has a real advantage working for you and with you, as far as just being able to be honest about the needs in their life, because it does feel like that has become a major thing for business owners, is how to kind of show up to that owner-employee relationship in an even more caring, even more empathetic way than you might have been already, because of the sort of heightened situations of things.
And it's definitely sort of where we're all. What was so cool about our work team is that from the day one of all of this, we were in the trenches with our work team, and I'm so grateful that they were in the trenches with us, and we were all shoulder to shoulder. We had the we gave our work team some options or choices. In fact, something came out of a leadership program that both Joss and I did recently. We call it the choice break, where in some cases maybe it made sense for someone to be home with for whatever the reason is what was going on, but we chose to stay open and to do everything we could to keep going, because we concluded that the sooner we figured out how to operate in this new environment, the better off we're going to be, the better off our customers are going to be, better off insurance companies that we work with for the collision repair are going to be as well. So it was very important for us to remain present. We our line of work is considered to be essential, and I couldn't agree more that I think that what we do is so essential and so worthwhile. Just making sure we keep people's vehicles on the road safe and help people navigate through whatever automotive and transportation challenges they might have. So
yes, absolutely. Speaking of, I have one more question, and then I want to get to the tour because I'm really excited about that. But the last question I wanted to ask you, not only COVID, but with winter coming, with people whose cars maybe haven't gotten as much use recently because maybe they're home all the time, what are like 2 or 3 things that you feel like, really extend the life of your car, are great winterization things to do? What should people make sure they're sort of checking in with as we go into these colder months?
That's a great question, Hannah, and I smile and I laugh, and this is going to come across the wrong way for me to say it, and being that we're in the automotive business. But the number one thing I think, especially this year, where miles driven is down significantly, right, where a lot of us are home more than ever. It sounds so obvious, but your car is meant to be driven, and I laugh because I don't want that to come across like I'm encouraging people to get out there to drive so that they have a it's the opposite. It's get out there and drive your car at least 20 to 30 minutes a week, even if you're working from home. One of our vendors said to me recently that the number of brake pads and rotors and calipers that they've sold over the summer was a dramatic spike in increase because of the number of cars that just sat around. So as the cold weather hits now, not only do you have to worry about rusted up brake rotors, you have to worry about things like your battery of your car. So that's kind of not just getting ready for winter, but getting ready for winter COVID style is drive your car, make sure your car is clean, as weird as that may sound. I'm not saying that because we clean cars here. I'm saying that so that if your car is sitting around a lot, that there's not crumbs left over for a mouse, right? Anybody who has a Toyota knows there's that risk of wire harnesses getting chewed up on a car. And if you start to see signs of mice, do something about it. Don't just let it be, because it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So I think that's another important one as well. Make sure things like the base of the windshield where the cowl grill is, and if you have a sunroof, that the drains are kept clean. So if your car's sitting around a lot more, that leaves and things don't clog up that area, and you more likely get water leak. When you do run the car for at least the 20 or 30 minutes, run the defrosters, run the fans, run everything through with the car. Like I said, a car is meant to be driven. So
definitely, that all is so helpful, and I'm sure anyone else out there who read Stuart Little when they were a child just imagined like maybe you could get the mouse to drive the car for you.
Yes.
I think what it makes me think of what you're saying is, I've heard a lot of talk recently about like how to be a tourist locally a little bit more now that people aren't flying so much. And so it sounds like what you're saying is maybe take your car out for some leaf peeping. If we've all forgotten how beautiful it is in this area, maybe a good 20-minute drive to make sure the car is running well, and also to just appreciate the season burning.
It's a great point, and you see it now on the weekends, right? You see the roads are more crowded on the weekends, and you go to many different your favorite hiking place, or with our kids I go mountain biking a lot, and you see the parking areas that are full. So definitely do that. At the same time, if you have the flexibility with your schedule, do it during the week. It's just remarkable to see how much, especially in the greater Amherst area, how much less traffic there is. The other day I was delivering a customer's car, a Subaru, over to her in Northampton, and at 3:30 on a Monday afternoon to be able to float across Route 9 through a construction zone with a rotary with no traffic.
Right.
Quite frankly, for us, it's kind of scary. But so if you have the flexibility during the week, it's a great time to get out, not just on the weekend. So.
Yes. That is such a good point. And it's funny that you said you were delivering a vehicle. Is that something you do?
It's an option. Those are you asked about the kind of the COVID thing. I guess I should have mentioned that sooner. Those are the things you just thinking outside of the box. What are different ways that we do, whether we meet them outside in our customer outside in our parking lot, we deliver or drop off a car. Those are the different things. Again, listening to the customer and trying to figure out what's their comfort level.
That's so fantastic. It's just so cool. All right. Well, so let's go ahead and get a tour of the space. I'm so excited.
So we're going to give this a go. This is, like I said, my first virtual tour. So give me a moment to get ready to do this.
Yes,
okay?
Definitely.
I'm going to get most importantly, my mask on, right?
Yep.
All right. Going to lock and load. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. As I mentioned, I'm not the technology guru in our business or our home. All right. I'm going to try to earbuds, see if I can make this work.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just 5 years ago.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you got me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. This is great. So just to remind everyone viewing or anyone who's just tuning in, not only are we getting a tour right now of North Amherst Motors and Auto Rental, but we are helping Andrew and Jocelyn pilot how to maybe do some virtual tours of the shop, because they usually have student programs running that are not running at the moment. So we will give some feedback after this, but we are really excited to tour your space.
That's right. So thank you very much, Hannah. So we're going to start in our front office, and what's kind of neat about this is that we get to kind of see a little bit of the activity of everything that we got going on.
Yeah.
So our front office team, and like I said, I'm going to walk through here
very carefully.
Hi there. And we're going to kind of go through the office.
Awesome.
So we're going to go through, and we'll go through that. So here's our front office. I'm going to just quickly scan it there. I'm going to keep it. Jesse's over there helping a customer outside. I'm not going to put them on the camera right now.
Okay.
Bridget and Jesse.
I will say, when I came in, I was very impressed with the signage that you have, the information that you have in the front office. There were so many posters. Do you design the posters and things about different things that you do, and photos of before and afters?
That's a great question. It's a combination. Some of that is stuff that was designed internally from a former coworker of ours, Josh, who was extraordinary at that sort of thing. Some of it is stuff that we get through work with the different insurance companies that we partner up with. And some of it is some of the many certifications that we have. In fact, I think if I get this behind Bridget. Bridget, give a wave.
Hi, Bridget.
They say hi. Through, we're ICAR Gold Class, and we're certified through many manufacturers like Subaru, which of course is a very popular one.
Yeah.
Acura, Honda, Kia, Hyundai, Chrysler, Nissan. So those are part of the things.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So our next stop is going to be our mechanical department. So here we go.
Here we go.
So our mechanical department, which is the front of our business, you'll see here is.
Wow.
So Kelly is working on pulling up some repair specs on a vehicle behind us there.
Awesome.
And so our mechanical department is where we do obviously any kind of mechanical preventative maintenance repairs that we do on vehicles. We also do mechanical work for the collision repair cars that we're fixing. So for example, we have a car that has suspension damage or an airbag deployment or exhaust work. Brian and Kelly in our mechanical department will handle all that here. Furthermore, they'll do wheel alignments on vehicles here. So we're able to do most of all that in-house. What we like to do is be able to remain in control for as much of a repair process as opposed to have to sublet it out to an alignment shop or another mechanic or the dealer. The more we're able to do with that, the better as far as that goes. So kind of just circle around the front of the business, which kind of gives us an idea of the street out there, and which in the mill district that's out there as well.
Yeah,
So
beautiful
you can
day.
see behind us where Brian and Bridget are assisting a customer out there with his vehicle out there as well.
It's fantastic.
So this is, like I said, the mechanical. Hey, Kelly, give a quick wave. We're on Facebook Live.
Hi,
There's
Kelly.
Kelly. That's great. So the next area we're going to go to is our detail department. And as you see, we'll flip around this way. You'll see a Subaru that is in the process of being checked in.
Nice.
I think it's Ayana who's actually sitting in the car right now. And this is a car that's going to come in for a collision repair. So she's going through a checklist of things that we do on all vehicles that come in for collision repair. And what she's doing is making sure she knows all the options of what works on a car, what doesn't work. We're going to pre-clean the car so that it goes into the shop as clean as it can be. And we just have a good foundation and start in place on the vehicle as far as that goes. So let's see if we can get Ayana a quick wave. You can see Ayana. So Ayana just graduated from the Franklin County Tech Collision Repair Program in the spring.
Oh, cool.
And now she works full-time with us in our detail department. So
That is so awesome.
on the other side of our detail department, you can see a blue Honda that's coming out of the shop that we did some repair work on. And Kaylee, who is working on a car behind there, who oversees our detail department. She's getting a car that's dealt with their Honda behind there too.
Hey, I need to get my car detailed. I'm gonna do that.
Well, you know, there's simple things that I mentioned earlier. Just simply keeping it cleaner this time of year, going into the winter, I think is a cool thing, an important thing to do, especially for those of us who are going to be driving a lot less.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
From Robert, who's tuning in. He asked if you do Subaru factory maintenance, like the 30,000 mile routine checkup, or is that the kind of thing someone would have to go to the dealership for?
That's a great question. So routine preventative maintenance is stuff that we typically can do. Every once in a while, you find something that is dealer specific. But for the most part, the repair maintenance schedules are things that we can handle here. More than ever, though, because of COVID things, we typically like to have someone drop the car off with us as opposed to a while you wait. And we find for the most part, people are more flexible with their schedules than ever. So that tends not to be an issue. So.
Awesome. That is so helpful. So the best thing maybe is to call you guys, say, is this something you do?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Call, text us, email us through our website. You can email us. You can schedule a repair through our website as well.
Very cool.
We're going to do that there. So.
All right. Awesome. All right. Robert, thanks for the question.
So the next thing we're going to do, we're about to enter the collision repair side, the body shop side of our shop. And one of the things that I always forget when someone asks me about something that's not known about North Amherst Motors is how large our facility is. And we go through this next doorway or next threshold, you really get to see that side of our business. So let's do this. So as we come through, we're going to kind of take a tour. We're going to start in the upper corner here in our disassembly area.
You're so right. Looking at North Amherst Motors from the street, I never realized how huge it is.
Right. So here is kind of looking down the shop from our disassembly area. And you can see, of course, a Subaru right behind me there. You can see the doors seen better days. Yeah. So we're in the process of doing our pre-scan and check-in of this vehicle. We to make sure we can know what our condition of the car is going to be and put together a good repair plan of how we're going to go about fixing this vehicle. So you can kind of see, and I'm going to flip around. Matt, we're going to give you a quick wave to Matt. If I can find Matt. Give everyone a wave. Oh, can I get it? There's Matt. Perfect. Hi, Matt. So Matt is one of our estimators, and he oversees the repair plans that we're doing here. So,
and do you guys do inspections as well, or is that?
We do not do the state inspections.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we pass that along. We tend to take all of our state inspections over to Boyden and Perrin, another good local business here in Amherst as far as that goes. But in our disassembly and repair plan area, we try to set it up to have as much of what we need right here. In fact, this was our latest addition, is a whole clip system that we put in place. You'll see it's kind of neat with one of our primary vendors that we work with, Kemperly, that allows us to really kit a car at disassembly. We just don't want to be in a position where we go to put a car back together and realize that there's something small that we need. We try to identify as much of that up front as we can. So
just the idea of disassembling and reassembling a car makes my brain sort of short circuit a little.
Oh, no kidding.
It just seems like there's so much there.
There can be. There certainly can be. And we have a great team that works
very well to do it in a methodical manner, so that that we can disassemble it and then put it back together as well. So as you
That
can
is
see, like I said, what I
awesome.
kind of from up above, this is the Subaru that's in the process of that I think Sarah's in the process of getting ready to get disassembled here. Let's see
Yeah.
if I can have Sarah give a quick wave here. Sarah, you want to give a quick wave?
Hey,
There's Sarah. Great. All right. And
I have,
Sarah was we were talking about tech schools before. Sarah years ago had gone to Pathfinder through their program, and then to a trade school after high school as well. So, all right. So this looks down the shop,
wow.
and you can see kind of what we have going on in production over here.
Yeah.
So on the back side of one of our frame machines, there's another Subaru here. And we're going to kind of continue to walk down the shop. So you can wave.
And I've had the opportunity to see a car come into you guys after a collision and then come out again. And it was so impressive what you can fix. I would have thought that car was done and it looked like new.
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable process. It's very labor intensive, and obviously we all know, unfortunately, it can get very expensive as well to do. And that's where you have to start to make some tough decisions of what's the best thing to do in the situation. Sometimes it does mean replacing the car and not repairing the car too, of course.
Yeah.
When it's deemed a total, so that happens as well. And we're going to come down. This next area is our reassembly area. So Kate's in the process of putting together a red Mazda here. You can kind of see that's going on there.
Yes. Oh,
and
my
then
goodness.
last part of the shop tour we want to do is show you our paint area. So we're going to start actually on this side with paint prep.
Yeah.
And there is Brian and Eddie. Guys, want to give a quick wave? And we are getting ready to prep a Honda Pilot to go into be painted in our paint prep decks.
Wow.
And let's see. And I think that the next part of that car is in the paint booth here. So this is the cool part. We get to go into the spray booth.
Oh my gosh. I
Is
feel
it
like
not,
you're gonna
it's not
come
too bright, is it?
totally blue.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. So I'm going to walk in here to the spray booth.
Wow.
And so this is where we get to paint all of our cars. So we use a waterborne paint through PPG. So it's right on the forefront of what's the most environmentally friendly paints that we can do. And as you can see, it's a pretty good length of the booth. It's a 30-foot booth.
Yeah.
So there's a nice setup there.
Wow.
And there we are.
And would you say most people who are getting their car painted, it's a result of a repair, or do you have, I don't even know what to call it. I'm like vanity plates is coming to mind. So is there like vanity painting? Like would people come just to change the color of their car?
There is a small market for that. For us, we primarily focus on the collision repair.
Yeah.
That's what we do, especially in here we are in the valley here. We don't see as much of a car culture as there would be if you were in Southern California or other parts of the country as well.
Sure.
And I'm gonna move because I'm about to get run over by that Honda Pilot. They're getting ready to load right into the spray booth right now.
Business is happening.
So that's a good sign. So the car is getting back into the spray booth as we chat there.
So wild.
Perfect.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so that's a quick snapshot of who we are.
That is so great. I have to say that this laptop tour is totally working.
Is it working? Good. All right. We get a thumbs up there. Good.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I was a little nervous about trying it this way. Just like I'm a little nervous about walking backwards, talking with a mask on and a camera. I'm going to get a little too confident and cocky right now, and that's not going to be a good thing. But that's all right. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Excellent. I'm going to step outside. I get to take my mask off.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Great. All right.
It's so great. This is so great. So I know that we're getting close to wrapping up. That tour was awesome. And as anticipated, we did get a question from Virginia who's watching, who is curious about the right to repair bill that's coming up. So can you share a little bit about that, maybe what it is for anyone who doesn't know, and just what your stance on it is?
Yeah, no, so the right to repair is a ballot question that's going to be on the ballot in November that relates to the sharing of information that's coming out of our automobiles, right? So many cars now have some form of ADAS, advanced driver assistance systems, and there's so much information that is now located in a vehicle. For example, a car has more line of code in it than a fighter jet does. That's the same you constantly hear in our industry.
What?
Yeah. So it's the sort of thing that that there's a question about how much of that information should be accessible to an independent repair facility and independent vendors, independent manufacturers, versus how much of that should be retained and only controlled by the OEMs. When I say the OEMs, that's the original equipment manufacturers. So like the manufacturer of the car, whoever that might be. So if you look up online, there's a lot of good information about the pros and the cons of it in regards to why that should be shared or why that should not be shared. It's something that as an independent repair facility, it's very beneficial and helpful for us to make sure that we can continue to repair cars and have access to that information that isn't just simply, that doesn't in the future become something that's only available to a dealer, or manufacturer. So it's an interesting aspect as far as that goes. We're also at the same time, though, it's important for us to be as aligned as well as we can with the OEMs. So part of what we do is we invest in a lot of training and the certifications, as I mentioned inside, so that we have more access to that than maybe another independent might. So it's important for us to be certified when and where we can within the lines of the cars that we work, like a Subaru, a Hyundai, Honda, Kia, and things like that as well. So it's a really interesting thing. You have the OEMs obviously are on the no side, and then you have independent, a lot of small independent businesses, and a lot of the manufacturers of aftermarket information tools that want to see that happen. No matter which way you look at it, there's a concern about that information getting out. It's the sort of thing like all information today. It has to be protected, and there has to be safeguards in place, no matter where this lands. That's a critical piece of this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for answering that question. I know it's a complex issue, and you really summed it up well, which I appreciate. You're getting a lot of love over here on the Facebook.
Oh, good.
Please definitely go on there or have Jocelyn go on there and see the hellos and a lot of compliments to your business.
Well, it's funny you say that, because as I mentioned to you earlier, and I like the fact that you say have Jocelyn go, it's like you're implying that I actually am not capable of going on there
and
which is great, because one of the good things that came out of 2020, we're trying to find what those things are, is that I got on the Facebook for the first time earlier this year. And I joked that I was the last middle-aged man to get on the Facebook, but Jocelyn took it a step further, and she actually got her father on the Facebook and his small business over the weekend. So it was pretty amazing. It was pretty daunting task that she was able to do to get he runs a little store up in Greenfield called the Outlet Store. They do like outdoor clothing and things like that. So getting him on is remarkable. So that just proves if I can get on the Facebook and the Outlet Store, if Skip can get on it, we're all good there. So anything is possible. So I get to figure out how to access this too, and not just rely on Jocelyn or Nikki, our 11-year-old at home, on how to do this. So
you're doing excellently.
Well, thank you.
Really. And this is so great, Andrew. It's been so nice to talk with you, because as you know, one of our goals in the Mill District is just to have as many amenities nearby people as can be. And as I feel like we've been talking about in this conversation, that has only gotten to be more important through COVID. And so having you guys in the neighborhood alongside the other things we're trying to curate and bring in is just invaluable. And I know that people love having you.
So may I ask you a question now?
Please.
All right. So kind of tying that into the Mill District. So what's next on the horizon for you with the Mill District?
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. So we have a couple really exciting things happening. The first is that Provisions is moving in. They're going into the former Atkins space.
Yep.
And I'm going to float this out there, but I'm going to caveat it and say, don't hold me to this, but it looks like we're aiming to have them open the first week of November. So everyone out there will understand that there are a lot of moving parts right now. We can't guarantee that, but that it looks like things will align for that. And we will definitely on our Facebook page keep shouting out every time we know something new. But provisions opening hopefully early November. And then we actually just started construction finally on the Mill District General Store, which
Awesome.
is so exciting because we've been talking about it for a while.
Right.
And one of the things about the general store that is really important to us is that because it's a new store and because it's tied in with Kohl's building supply, the inventory of that store is really meant to be responsive to the community. So especially through a challenging time like this, we are fully aware that the general store cannot have everything that Target has, everything that one of those big stores has. But what it can do is listen and pivot based on what we're hearing from community members as being the items that they use the most, would like the easiest access to, everything from necessities to fun things, art supplies, gifts. We want to really enable people to stay in the community with their business and their dollars as much as possible. And then understanding that everything ripples out. So we're looking for the Mill District to really be the heart. And then, there's Amherst as a whole and other stores across the valley that are wonderful stores and a lot of locally owned. So the general store and provisions are the next two things. And then we have a lot of other things in discussion that we're trying to put together. And I would say, without giving too much away, I would say that similar to you talking about you and Jocelyn staying up on a lot of education and certifications,
Yeah.
for us in the Mill District, there's a lot of attention we're paying to where is business going? Where is
Right.
local business going? What kinds of business ownership feel the most inclusive, the most accessible? Is there room for pop-ups, for cooperatives, for, if the traditional signing a lease for 5 years is going to feel a little tough for a while until we
Right.
know what we're doing, what do we do in the interim? So we have a lot of conversations going about how to really respond to changes in the marketplace. And so that's leading to what I think will be some really exciting things on the ground when we get them going. So
That's fantastic, because I
that's
think
the most I can say.
with the general store, we so much look forward to the opportunity to once again have a place that those of us that work here in North Amherst and live nearby, that we can pick up and grab something on the way home and not have to think about, do I buy this online or do I go to to the Target of the world? That would be something that would be very beneficial, and especially in our case, of our work team, so many of us are working parents, and having that where we don't have that flexibility to just simply just do something on our own. So that's wonderful to hear that's back up and in the works. And I think the other part of it, and you asked me earlier too, is just the idea that figuring out ways to be responsive, right? And to do this where maybe that 5-year lease isn't something that can happen right now. But there can be something in between a 5-year and not being in that space, if that makes sense. And so that's fantastic to hear about that. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I think the point too, when we're talking about students learning the auto repair trade through your business, obviously that's a conversation that happens in all different sectors in this area. Is what is the entry point for students, whether they're entrepreneurs, they have a store they want to start, they're researchers, what is the entry point into the business world for them? And so for us, it's taking a look at, what is involved in starting a business in Amherst, and does that feel accessible, not just to students, but to anybody, So if you don't know the whole lease signing process, are you just going to not bother even thinking about that dream store that you've wanted to open? Or is there a way we can provide a stepping stone where it says, okay, I can give this a try, and then we can see if it goes into that longer lease, bigger thing down the road when I know that my business is really going to be something that the community responds to.
And I think, in addition to the new business or an entrepreneur, it's also the entrepreneurs that exist now, how are they in the short term going to make it through this winter? That's a big concern, right? With the small businesses in Amherst right now, is if you're a restaurant in town, how are you going to survive when it's too cold to be outside?
Right.
And how do we support one another to do that as well? So that's a point well taken. So good.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are crucial questions. So thank you so much for
Thank you for
giving us
doing
an
this.
hour and a half of your time with the
I'm
technical
glad this worked out
difficulties.
somehow after we got over the hurdle of some of the technical difficulties. But I
Right.
guess like everything COVID right now, we turned it into an opportunity, right?
We did. We rolled with it.
We did.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, I
Andrew,
really
thank
enjoyed
you
this. So thank you
much.
very much.
Good. Well, have a
All
great rest of your day. And
Thank you, too.
Jocelyn for us as well.
All right. I'll thank all of our team. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.